In fact, I'm going to take you through the main areas that have been severely impacted by the landslides and the flash floods, and these have been areas that have been hit successively annually because of the amount of heavy rainfall that these regions suffer from, especially during the monsoon season. In fact, here's a look at Dharali. This is exactly how Dharali looks like right now after the flash floods hit this region. The second place that has been severely hit is Kheer Ganga, and if you can see, these homes, homestays, hotels, commercial places, shops have been completely inundated by the heavy rainfall. Harsil, yet another place, this is in eastern Uttarakhand in Uttarkashi, that has been completely devastated by the landslides and the rainfall. Barkot is also, this is exactly how the SDRF teams right now at this place, this entire hills have collapsed, leading to this sludge that has accumulated, making it very difficult for rescue operations to continue. Hatwari is yet another region. Hatwari has seen a number of arterial roads like this one completely collapsing under the weight of mud, sludge, the mountains, the hills that have fallen on the road because of the landslides. Here's a look at the latest death toll. What is being reported is there are at least 5 people that have died. A total of 470 people have been rescued. There are still 50 to 70 people that are still missing, is the latest information. The key agencies that are involved in the rescue operations include the Indian Army, the NDRF, the State Disaster Relief Fund, the Indo-Tibetan Border Police, the BRO as well, and of course we have the Indian Air Force that has also now been mobilized to rescue the civilians. And the challenges that we face, repeated landslides, because there is heavy rainfall that is continuing to the tune of 350 to 400% excess of the usual rainfall that this region receives, which has led to the piling up of mud, sludge on the roads. The army operations are being impacted at Harsil after their camp was completely washed away. This is of course, the many roads have been broken by the landslides across Uttarkashi, and these are arterial roads which is making it impossible for the JCBs, for the cranes and the bulldozers to travel to the impacted areas. The key bridges, including Bailey bridges that had been constructed by the rescue teams, have been washed away, which has stranded hundreds of people that are now stuck in that island that has been created without any mobility, without any connectivity. Constant rains are hampering rescue operations in Gangotri and other higher places in Uttarkashi, in Uttarakhand. So these are some of the issues that are causing delay, hampering the rescue and relief efforts. But at the same time, we are getting information that there is mobilization of a number of helicopters. In fact, the Chinooks are at this point in time being deployed, which are going to be lifting the heavy machinery that will be then airlifted from Agra, from Bareilly. It has arrived in Dehradun, and from there to Dehradun city. These heavy machinery are going to be airdropped to the impacted areas where there is huge debris and sludge and mud. They are then going to be helping in clearing this obstructions and hopefully the rescue of a number of civilians that are stuck. In fact, I'm going to bring in Krishna Mitru, who is disaster management consultant, who's joining me on the telecast. Krishna Mitru, thank you for joining us. And what are the important takeaways that the government, the rescue operations teams, the SDRF, the NDRF, IDBP, they all can take, keeping in mind that this is not a one-off incident that has taken place after many decades. This is an annual occurrence.
Thank you for inviting me on the channel, and very good evening to everybody. Yes, this is not a one-time occurrence. This is repeated over and over and every year and many times. You see, the basic thing is that civilization has come up very close to the river levels because of convenience of primarily the water, and also the hotels and resorts are making good money being close to the water. That has been the first mistake. Today, whatever the rescue teams are doing, the government agencies are doing, they're doing their best to first rescue the people who are affected, and then the properties, etc., whatever they can, whatever little they can. However, the priority right now is to rescue as many people as possible. My ultimate suggestion would be that all those who have to rebuild their houses, they should not be allowed to rebuild their houses where they were as of yesterday. They should be sent to rebuild at a location which is at least about 150 to 200 feet above the river level along the slope of the mountain, and which does not come in the way of any kind of a valley or the partings between the two hill features, because that is the place where the water from higher levels comes down in case of a landslide, or even the landslide in case of a cloudburst, and also in case of a landslide, the mud tends to flow to the lower levels, which can give rise to further erosion of the land. Now, what we have seen is many roads, road links, and the villages, the habitations have broken, and a lot of losses have been suffered. That is primarily because of soil erosion, because of removing the trees and cutting off the trees, which has softened the topsoil of these mountains. So all we have got to do is, after this search and rescue is over, in the rehabilitation phase, we should rehabilitate and rather insist upon those who are living close to the rivers, who have their houses or businesses.
Right. But before we come to the rehabilitation process, which is going to take a really long time, months if not years, I am going to keep my focus on the immediate matter that is at hand, which is rescuing the missing people. They are completely cut off. They are right now in an island without any connectivity, without mobility. Roads have been completely destroyed. They have collapsed under the weight of the landslides. A silver lining over here, Brigadier Vinod Datta, that the Indian Air Force has been swung into action. They were kept on standby. A number of these helicopters, Chinooks, were kept on standby in Agra and Bareilly. They have been brought to Dehradun city. Now, this heavy equipment, machinery is being airlifted from Dehradun and is going to be airdropped to these areas that are heavily impacted, which is going to help in removing the debris, the slush, the mud, and the probability of rescuing civilians is going to increase manifold. How long do you think this operation, the duration of this entire operation will last, and the feasibility of it as well?
Well, first of all, it's a very happy news that the weather is clearing up, and the rescue operations have been pressed into the right earnest. Because if the rains would have continued and the weather warning would have been there, then our aircrafts or helicopters, especially the rotary wing aircraft, would have been pressed into the service. Now, the main aim will be to, pre-position the heavy equipment, the desludging equipment, the excavators, so that whatever slush is there, whatever the mud is there, that can be cleared. And it has to be cleared very deliberately, because there may be bodies lying there. We still hoping against the hopes that some people may have survived, because sometimes if you get a triangular kind of a shroud there, where you have those air bubbles which are there, the survival chances are still there, and we hope that we get such people. Secondly, the manual of the people are already pressed into the infantry battalion. 14 Rajrif is already there, and they have done a commendable job. They were there, within 10 minutes of this incident, and though their own army camp was impacted very badly. The SDRF and NDRF, ITBP, and various other agencies have already they have sent their foot columns so that they can reach the site. They are also searching, downstream because some of the bodies must have got drifted, or some of the people who may be alive, they must have got drifted down the stream. So that search is also going on. So all these things now, the biggest problem will be, to provide shelter, to provide food, and to provide medicine and, medical help to the people, because trauma is a very big factor,
Right.
because the kind of sludge you saw, the way it was coming, it was like a rocky avalanche. So
Those
people have to be,
visuals were a tragedy that has struck of great levels, of great degree, and of course the fact that there are fortunately right now 5 deaths have been reported. There have not been any more deaths that have been reported. Hopefully this is going to be the only death toll that is reported. It does not get increased, is what the hope and our prayers are going to be, even as the rescue operations continue. I am being joined also by Brigadier B.K. Khanna. Brigadier Khanna, now as was touched upon by Krishna Mitru, that is there a possibility that we can avert crises such as these, because it's a natural calamity. The rain has been in excess of 350% versus the average monsoon rainfall that this region gets on an annual basis. In wake of a tragedy, a natural calamity, a landslide, a cloudburst, what is the role of over commercialization of the place, building of heavy infrastructure over there, setting up hotels, homestays, a higher tourist footfall? Has this also adversely impacted the very impact of the cloudburst that has happened?
Thank you very much for having me again. Let me deal it in 3. One is that, firstly, as an expert, I can say that whether it was a cloudburst or it was a glacial release or burst or something. Because as per the IMD, in fact, they say in fact the rain have not been more than 100 millimeters. This is the basic parameter in 1 hour in that particular area of 20 or 30 kilometer area. It is not come there. So that means the other is that, in fact, Uttarakhand has got 32, in fact, glacial lakes as such. Has one of the glacial lake burst, which is yet to be. I am just saying it may not be correct, but yes, it could be combination of both, because yes, the disaster has taken place. Now, coming to the point as to whether these can be avoided, I can say yes and no both, because these are natural, plus also which has been added, the manual thing which is required. If you remember, in fact, 2013, in fact, after the Kedarnath tragedy, Supreme Court has constituted a high-level committee under Ravi Chopra. And they submitted the report in 2014. And some instructions which are given in that particular time are rather not instructions, the orders which are given to all the hilly areas. 3-4 things which they said. A very detailed report, but I will continue. Concentrate on 1 or 2 only. One is, of course, this thing has been told. Yes, they said 200, in fact, yard of this thing, where the water level is there of the river. There should be no habitation at all. That is the first thing they said. Secondly, they also are regulating, of course, the pilgrims also, rather than, in fact, having the influx. Because this is one of the also causes that because of the influx, sometimes we say, okay, this time this year is about 3 crore, like say 4 crore, we are very happy with that. But have you got the infrastructure? In this case also you will find there, in fact, In fact, houses, there were actually 40, 50 this house stays as such, which have been wiped out. This thing, if you see in fact, the picture, the mudslide which has come from, in fact, along a nala. So that means this particular, in fact, village is next to where the nala is. They are a part of that is next to the nala itself. Where, of course, the water makes its own way. So it is not because of the river, it is because of the mudslide which has come from top of that. Only which has created more problems.
So Krishna Mitru, what are the precautions that can be taken, what review can be made by the state government, by the chief minister, to ensure the safety and security of the people, and henceforth in the next rainfall and during the next monsoon season a similar tragedy can be averted?
Four things which can be done. One is, of course, the success
the question is for Krishna Mitru, sir.
The first thing which I would think that the government should do is to move all the habitats from closer to the river to uphill about 100 feet, at least 100 feet from the river level. 100 feet, I would say, elevation. The second thing is that they should stop erosion of the land, of the topsoil, because that is what holds the trees. The tree roots is what holds the soil tight to the earth. Now, if we stop cutting the trees and leave it to the minimum possible, that will also help us. And of course, we must make some effort to train the locals in case of any warning or pre-warning. They should be able to take due precautions themselves, because, as they say, the best help is the end of your own arm. Your own hands, your own self will be and the first responder is the public which is affected. So unless they are trained properly to deal with any such future calamities, natural or man-made, these things will continue to incur losses of lives and properties, and of course the environment. So we've got to concentrate, the government-wise, we should concentrate on these couple of things a little more attentively.
Okay, all right. More information coming in. The senior district administration officials in Uttarakhand, in Uttarkashi particularly, have reviewed the disaster relief and rescue operations at the smart control room in Uttarkashi. Various ways of speeding up the relief and rescue operations have been discussed. During this meeting, all the concerned officers were instructed to ensure work and all relief and rescue materials as per the action plan. All right, so an action plan that has been set into motion since yesterday when the landslides hit Uttarkashi. There have been strong strides that have been made. There has been an immediate response that has taken place. That's exactly what needed to be done. It is being done. And the central government, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, has pitched in and himself said that all help, all support is going to be provided by the central government that is needed for the rescue operation, for the relief work. Brigadier Vinod Datta, how do we now anticipate, in how much time do you think, what is a practical deadline that these rescue operations will be completed? Because again, time is of the essence. There could be a number of people who might just be buried under the mud, under the slush and debris. If they are not rescued, they are not spotted on time, they are not identified in time and rescued, it will be difficult for them to survive.
Yeah, I agree with you, because time is of essence. But I just want to add one more point, what Krishna Mitru had said, that having been associated with the Uttarakhand Disaster Management Authority, they have already created Aapda Chowkis, they have already created Aapda Mitra, they have already created Mahila Mangal, even ladies have been factored in. And that's why you must be seeing in the videos that some people were whistling, some people were this thing. So they all have been told how to, sensitize and at least give early warning to the neighboring villages. They were also given rupees 10,000 aid by the state government so that they can buy rudimentary equipment to, combat such a situation. Secondly, by what time the operation will wind up, you see, it is a very, very slow and a very deliberate operation, because the agencies don't want to lose even a single chance of any person who's either buried alive under the slush, or they have got drifted away. So it has to be done because the prodding and probing both have to be done very, very, deliberately. Secondly, even for the rescuers, the teams which are there, for them to walk into the slush is very, very important because it is very difficult. Thirdly, the weather should hold, because if it starts raining again, then it is going to compound their problems. So we are, praying to the Almighty that the weather should hold, so that the machinery which is being, airlifted from Dehradun, Bareilly, Agra, and various other places, that should reach the ground zero, and the people should start, utilizing and exploiting that equipment so that the area can be cleared. And thirdly, is that the synergy which is being seen by various agencies is of very, very high order, and it is only synergy which will, take this operation through, and it will take about almost 15 to 20 days, because the agencies are not going to leave any stone unturned. They will try, till last mile, that they are able to either locate the victims or the, dead bodies which are there.
Right. Absolutely. Some important points made over there. Coming back to you, Brigadier B.K. Khanna. Now, of course, the opposition is going to raise a number of questions, demanding answers from the government. Why does disaster hit Uttarakhand? Why have precautionary measures, proactive measures not been taken to avert the disaster even before it hits, when it is anticipated? Monsoons are a situation that are ill tackled by the state government. Again, the question about, lives, are they valued enough in our country in a situation that we find ourselves in, again this time in Uttarakhand?
These disasters, of course, are happening, and it will keep on happening. There's no doubt. We cannot, in fact, avoid the disaster from happening, but only thing we can, in fact, check their impact, which is there. That's where they will be. But how can we prevent this? Some preventive measures which are required to be taken for any type of disasters. There only disaster-prone areas which are very known. In fact, whether this area is in fact earthquake-prone, or whether this area is more of a landslide-prone area, it is known, etc. And whole of our Himalayas, etc. If you see here, they are prone to the landslide. They are very, in fact, fragile mountains, etc. Because of the India plate as well as the Eurasian plate, it is hitting into each other. That is one of the reasons why, of course, we cannot have, in fact, a permanent thing. This has, in fact, very strong mountains, etc. So with that, we find the bridges falling, we find the roads, of course, getting, in fact, the damage, etc. because of the disasters. But yes, there are certain precautions which are everybody knows about it, because in fact Uttarakhand, of course, have been there when I was in the NDMA, so they have got a very good infrastructure system also, and the Emergency Operation Center from here, of course, in fact the CM is operating from there only, so they have got, not now, I'm talking about 10 years back also, that time also they had this only, and then they were doing it only. And but in this particular whole thing, and I find it there that the local the disaster management committees, the village disaster management committee, etc., they are not being, you are not mentioning them. So mention them, because they must have played a lot of role. In fact, in intimating, like say army is coming there, maybe army was very nearby. In fact, incidentally, of course, the 14 Rajli, I belong to Rajputana Rifle, and this is one of my battalions. This was 14 Rajli, which was there in Harsil. So they must have had played a very good role Reason being there because they were there only, their own relations are missing. Where are they? They could have been there for the guiding them, etc. And that those disaster management, because so, I mean, I have seen there, in fact, during the exercises when we are conducting in the NDMA, that some of the places, so the local disaster management committees, during the daytime, they have put the flags only, please dig in here. At the night time, also they put it, in fact, the lights only. Okay, this is the place, of course, you have to dig in there. So it makes the task of the rescuers very easy. So hence, of course, the local disaster management committee, the local, of course, at the village level, we have this committees, and I think they must have also played their role, which is not being coming up in the media. I find here. So they, it is very, very important because they are the first responder.
Yeah.
As we said. So
Yeah.
they are the first
Again,
responders.
I'm going to come. I'm going to come back to Brigadier Vinod Datta, and you know, the capability of our disaster management teams, the Indian Armed Forces, the Army, what the role that they play, which is essential, which is downright important. Again, the question about how are they trained to tackle themselves and rescue people in such difficult, challenging circumstances.
The Indian Army, the very fact that we are inoculated in such circumstances, and every soldier is, ready to take on these situations, because every platoon or every unit is trained, because this is one of the secondary roles that is called aid to civil authorities. Wherever civil authorities want, the Indian Armed Forces units or Army units are always there to help them. And you see, it is more important to have that kind of josh, that kind of junoon, and that kind of jazba that is pressed into the service, and that's why you must have seen in 2013 Uttarakhand, flash floods. The Indian Jawans had made a bridge of their backbones where people were made to cross over. So though they may not have specialized equipment, but they have that kind of basic equipment by which they can, take these people out of this, slush. They can clear the debris, and they can really put that, trust in the people. I remember when I was in service, the district collector of, in Himachal Pradesh, one of the district, there was a tunnel collapse. So the young lady was a district collector. She rang me up. She told me, sir, can you please send the army resources? I told her it's getting dark. It will be difficult to send air effort. She says, sir, please send a foot column or a motorized column. The very presence of Indian Army will give a lot of confidence to the local. And the same thing happened. The battalion which had gone there, they could rescue 3 people, and the chances were very remote to retrieve them from that situation. So that is what Indian Army is. NDRF is doing a wonderful job. So everybody is working in a synergy, because it is basically the life is more important.
Yeah.
Every citizen is important. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's been very well put out to just summarize the humongous effort that goes into these rescue operations, and our armed forces and the disaster management teams that work in tandem to ensure that maximum lives are saved. I'm out of time. I thank all of you for joining me on the telecast. And on that note, I slip into a short break. Thanks for watching Newsx.